beer, rum, and rock and roll. Saving rock, one conversation at a time. With Randy Legault and Beau Shiminsky.
All right, rock fans, we're back. Another episode of Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Randy. Across from me, as always, is Beau.
Yo.
How are you, man?
Good, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Episode 15.
Dude,
This one.
It's flying by.
Yeah. I missed it. We've been off for a couple weeks, so
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back here. I'm sure we got lots to talk about.
Well, life happens, man. I've been busy hanging out on soccer fields. That's what I've been doing.
Me
my
too.
4-year-old and 7-year-old are playing
Yeah.
soccer. At least they play the same nights,
That's a bonus.
right?
A lot of parents would be envious of that
So
situation.
we switch who's watching who, but
Right.
we fight over who watches Reed. No offense to Beck, but he's 4, and if he sees a butterfly, fuck, he's off. He's gone. He's somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. I remember coaching my kids at that age, and it takes a special kind of patience.
Oh, dude, totally.
And to be able to even just communicate with that age, and
Yes.
and then you got parents on top of that. Like it's a tough go.
I'm glad those people are out there because that's not me.
No, yeah, it takes a special kind. But they're liking it though. Obviously,
Oh,
like
they
the
do.
song.
Yeah, totally.
I love the sport because my son plays it.
Yeah.
and he's 13 now,
Yeah.
so it's a little different situation now. It's
Yes.
definitely parents are gone, the kids are focused.
Right.
It's a whole different animal.
Right.
But yeah, it's a great sport because the kids are running the entire time
Yes.
on their own power. They're not gliding, and I'm no disregard to hockey or
Yeah.
whatever, but
It's a workout.
you try it for an
Yeah.
hour, and well, the kids are playing 90s now, so
Right.
45s. I mean,
Right. And really, that's the important thing.
yeah,
Get some exercise, man. That's all we're talking about, really.
yeah. And my kid now, it's like 5 days a week.
They're not going to the fucking World Cup. Just get some exercise and have some fun, right?
No,
It's all good.
glad
dude.
your kids are liking it. That's
Yeah.
great.
Okay, let's get to the rock news.
Let's talk rock.
Yeah, let's talk some rock.
Yeah.
Okay, this has me excited. So Geddy Lee, who we all know and love,
Yes.
hey, retired now. Well, here's what he's doing right now. He's got a Canadian tour happening in support of his new book, The Big Beautiful Book of Bass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the tour starts in Victoria May 22nd, ends June 4th in Montreal. So what you get is interviews and signing sessions and this kind of stuff. But in
Right.
Calgary, he will be on hand to open a bass exhibition at Studio Bell at the National Music Center. So this is going to be awesome.
Be great to see
Totally.
that collection for sure.
It's
And to
a-
hear him talk,
Yeah, but to hear him talk, it's going to cost you $575.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit pricey.
That's a lot of dough.
Charity, I'm sure, again, but still, that's too much for me to ask Geddy a question.
How many do you think will spend that
You know
kind
what?
of dough?
I
What do
have
they?
no idea.
It's in a theater, so they'd have.
Yeah, it'll be in a nice theater. That's a lot of money, though.
Yeah, because you go see an artist perform, and it's 80, 100. Well, it depends on what you're doing. You can spend some stupid money. I don't know. It seems high. You're right.
What's the
man.
most you've ever spent on a concert ticket?
That's a good question.
Mine would be around $350, and that's to see a concert for 2 hours, not ask a guy a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that you're going to probably get a lot of those answers in the book.
yeah. I mean, if he's playing bass, hey, that's cool, but that's just not what's
Yeah, but
happening.
there's usually a clinic or a seminar or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty pricey.
If anybody goes, let us know what it's like.
Yeah, right on.
Anyway, the exhibition runs from May 26th to January 2nd. There's 26 bass guitars on display. And according to Lee, the instruments featured at Studio Bell are a combination of rare vintage basses from the golden age of guitar production, as well as significant ones he's used throughout his career. This exhibition gives people a look into the origins and the earliest years of the instrument that helped shape popular music, as well as the ones that I've lovingly held in my hands for over 40 years as I developed the sound that I could call my own. So he says, too, it's the largest display of basses from his personal collection ever, and I'm excited to share it with my fans across Canada. Now, what's really cool is that old Rickenbacker's there, the one he recorded all that 70s, 80s stuff with, and the Fender Jazz we all have seen a million times that he used on Moving Pictures and Tom Sawyer, right?
Right.
So that, I will go look at that, there's no doubt.
Right. I wonder what he's going to talk about the other 24 when
Right.
there's two that are
I mean, those are the ones.
Iconic.
The ones that, all the photos would be of those two.
Yeah, for sure. Oh.
Right?
Yeah, I like how he mentioned the golden age
Yes.
of guitar production because it is a defined period
Yep.
for any collector or guitar historian
Absolutely.
or fan. And yeah, it's tough to get your hands on those because everybody wants them.
And now they make new ones to look like the old ones that cost insane amounts of money.
Agreed.
Right?
Although there is, when you get into that world, right, it's we're spending the dough. They are putting in the care and commitment like they did back in those days. So
yeah.
You're not getting ripped off is what I'm saying.
No.
But yeah, if you wanted to, and usually when you get those old ones, there's some work to be done, you know?
Right, right.
They aren't coming, here you go, here's the princess.
Perfect,
you know,
yeah.
it ain't
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of get into that, right? But it'd be cool to see him for sure. It'd be cool to hear him talk. Almost $600, pretty steep.
Yes.
You know?
A couple, hon, I could wrap my head around, but man.
Remember we went and saw Vernon Reed. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was great.
Yeah.
And here you had probably that similar experience of getting to hear a guy talk and do that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think it was free or $20. You know what I mean?
It was not
I mean, it's not Geddy Lee, but it's, yeah, and he had quite a life. But anyways, back to...
a super talented guy.
Super
talented.
talented.
It was not 600.
No, not even close.
Okay, next up, I found this interesting. So Brian May says that he hasn't made a nickel off Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, yet. And this thing's made like $1 billion. So,
yeah,
like apparently the band, their worth has gone up 25 million pounds or something just from other things, other
spin-offs of the
other Queen-related ventures.
Right.
So I'm not losing any sleep over Brian May's bank account. However, he said, and I quote, "The movie was a labor of love, about 12 years in development. We thought it would do well in the end, and we felt good about it, but we didn't realize it would do that well. It's incredible around the world. It's a $1 billion movie." But he goes, "I had to laugh because there's a thing in the paper saying that we're all getting rich off this thing. If they only knew. We had an accountant in the other day, and we haven't earned a penny from it," he says. Isn't that funny? How successful does a movie have to be before you make money? And my first thought was, you need a new fucking accountant. You got a clean house, dude. If you're not making any money off $1 billion.
They are the reason the film exists.
Yeah.
Right? So you got that. But then you look at how the record industry worked and how this is a very common story, you know, with a lot of artists. Yeah. Oh, that's the way it is, man. You know, it's, we put it out, the record company makes all the money, and we go and slave to the grind, we sell T-shirts.
It's 1974 all over again.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Some things stay the same, you know.
I guess. Okay, next up, this made me laugh. So, I love Roger Daltrey and The Who, right? So they're playing a gig at Madison Square Garden. And I've read this before. I don't know how common knowledge it is, but I did know this, that he's allergic to smoke, particularly marijuana smoke. Like he's super allergic to it, right?
I did not know, but I'm not a big Who fan. I like a lot of their stuff, but I as a fan of rock music and a fan of The Who, but just not to that level, I would never have known this.
So you didn't know this?
No.
I did read it. I read it a couple of times.
See, I would never know that. And I mean, for how many shows they played in the late 60s, 70s, with that smell around, I mean, unless it developed later.
Who knows?
Right.
He might not have been allergic back then.
Right.
And I don't know if somebody comes out before the concert and says, "Don't smoke." I have no idea.
Right.
But the crux of this story is, at the end of the show, he goes off on these people in the front row that were smoking weed.
In front of the crowd.
Oh, yeah, in front of everybody. So he goes, instead of saying goodnight, he does this. "I got to tell you, all the ones smoking grass down in the front, grass. How old are you, grass?
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm totally allergic to it. I'm not kidding. Whoever it is down there, you fucked up my night. I'm allergic to that shit, and my voice just sucks it up. So fuck you." That's what he says.
So fuck you.
He says, "Fuck you. Get off my lawn." I mean, it had that vibe to it, right?
Wow.
It's fuck you.
Unless he physically said something before the show.
Yes.
If they did that, then he had every right to be pissed.
I agree. I don't know this though. I want to know Because, yeah, he could say fuck you if they said, somebody came out and said, okay, don't smoke, Roger's allergic,
Yeah.
and they still did it, fuck you.
Yeah.
But if nothing was said, then, dude,
Yeah.
maybe you should start saying something.
Right.
Before.
Or stop.
Yeah.
You know, because honestly, as
Right.
a rock fan and a lover of marijuana, you know, and going to a concert, those things go hand in hand for me
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
But you have to have the respect for the artist. If they told you not to do it.
And I would.
Yeah, of course.
But believe me, I'm usually at a show and this is the way they've done it for decades, you know.
Sure.
That you're going to run into that every show you play, guaranteed.
But if somebody comes out and says that, then you should respect that. That's all.
That's right. If they didn't, but if he didn't say anything, it's like, and he ends it with "fuck you." It's like, wow, that's intense.
I need to look into that to
Yeah.
see, because I'd rather hear him sing well than smoke my weed. You know what I mean? Okay, have you seen this Fender video where these rock guys are playing the Game of Thrones theme? You seen this?
There's like multiple guys playing the theme.
Yeah, there's a handful of rock guitarists playing the Game of Thrones.
No, what I have seen is a video of a guy playing a part of the theme on one guitar, and then goes to another video side by side.
Oh,
and
the
then
picture-in-picture thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
multiple of him playing all the parts
Okay.
on guitar, and it
Right.
was very impressive. I don't know when this was. This was a while ago.
Nobody famous, just some dude.
Yeah, I didn't know
okay.
who the dude was, not at all. But I was listening to it. And I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so
Right.
this was kind of fun to hear it
Right.
and see how it sounded, and it was cool. And I mean, you saw how many layers he kind of went through to create his final
Gotcha.
opus, right? But it was pretty cool.
A lot going on.
Yeah, totally. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is not that.
I see. I'm feeling this now already.
You got Tom Morello from Rage.
Slouch.
An Audio Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah, another Slouch, yeah. And Scotty Ian from Anthrax and Nuno Betancourt, who I think is incredible, from Extreme.
Right.
Those are the three rock guys. And then you got Brad Paisley, country
he's
cat.
such a
great
great
player.
Yeah.
And then you got the Game of Thrones composer. I have to look at his name to get it right. Ramin Djawadi.
Good try. Good try, Randy. Good try.
I'm butchering that.
Yeah, it's okay. The respect has been paid. It's all
Anyway.
good. Yeah.
It's very cool. Like, I don't watch the show, but it's still cool. Like,
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it because it's just these guys jamming out. It's wicked.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a great score. Like, it's a great theme. Very, very catchy.
Yeah, and the cool little icing on the cake was Fender custom built these guitars that have Game of Thrones artwork on them.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell these guys are geeking out. They're all fans of the show.
Sure.
And they're just going for it, right?
And some interesting styles, mixed in there.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
totally.
Right.
Like Brad Paisley is nothing like Tom Morello. Yet it works.
Not even close.
Right.
But yeah, you don't need to be. And that's the
Right.
fun part of this, right? Makes it kind of more interesting.
Okay, man. Well, let's watch a little snippet.
Yeah, do it.
Let's check it out.
Hey, you ever remember the band, the Helicasters?
The name I do.
Yeah, I love that. Just talking about a multi-guitar kind of situation. Because I know Steve Vai's got his show, with him and Nuno and
Yes.
Malmsteen and some others. We talked about it a bit, I think, on
Yeah.
the show. But the Helicasters, a band, they all played Telecasters.
Right.
And they wrote some really great music, and you had some killer players. John Jorgensen's on here, and like all these guys. I always loved it because there was three unique styles of playing going on,
Okay.
and they just worked so well. And they wrote some tunes. Then they also did like Orange Blossom Special,
Oh, yeah.
and stuff
Country
like that.
classic, yeah.
But we're talking; these are virtuoso guitar players, right? Really cool. Check it out.
So-
We should throw to a link or a bit of a track just so you can get a sense of what that's about.
Okay, I don't know if you know this, and I'm very excited by this. is Zeppelin is finally releasing an official documentary.
When?
It's in post-production, so
Okay.
I
So
don't
they're
know.
not just thinking about this. This is already.
No, it's done.
Huh.
Yeah. It's not done, but it's in post, so it's shot. And what's interesting, there's no outside interviews, just the band and archive. So you get
Perfect.
Plant, Page,
Yeah.
John Paul Jones, and you get archival, obviously, interviews.
That's
John
all.
Bonham.
That's all we need to hear.
You don't need Dave Grohl saying how much you like Zeppelin. We
Yeah.
all love Zeppelin. We all love Zeppelin. It's fine.
That's exactly.
You don't need it.
That's the name of the doc. We all love Zeppelin.
Exactly. Let's hear from the band. We don't.
That's right. Yeah.
We don't care. So yeah, it's to mark their 50th anniversary. So
Oh, perfect.
yeah, I can't wait to see that. And hopefully Jimmy dusts off some footage we haven't seen or something.
I guess that's a trick, right?
That would be cool.
The trick is that give us something we haven't seen.
Yeah. Well, the interviews would be new. Worst case scenario.
True.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. It'll be a theater thing, I'm sure, right?
Might have to go beyond my theater. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We got to go deal with somebody talking during the show. Is that
Yes.
right? The popcorn opening up?
Oh, there's going to be people there, Beau. How am I going to deal with that? Maybe we'll have to rent the theater out.
No, that'd be good. We post something and we say, okay, beer, rum, and rock and roll, an evening with Led Zeppelin.
Yes, exactly. Only we're invited.
Only word is you can't talk.
We'll let you breathe, maybe.
Yeah,
As long as it's not too
right on.
heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, this put a fucking smile on my face.
Right.
So the Stones rescheduled the North American tour. Why? Jagger's back.
I've been hearing
So
news,
there's this video he posted on Twitter. He's in like a...
the one playing the guitar.
No, not that one.
Okay.
That one's after.
Okay.
Cool as well.
Yeah.
This one's a little cooler, I think. So it looks like he's in like a dance studio kind of vibe, right? And he's doing
Like
his...
in public?
No.
Yeah, he doesn't do much.
No,
in
he's
public.
working out.
Okay.
He's
all
doing
right.
his moves like Jagger.
Okay, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I read that he's dancing to a song called Techno Fan by the Wombats. I have no idea
That's
who or
not
what
my
that
thing,
is.
man. No.
But you should see him moving, man. This dude is 75 fucking years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's moving just like Jagger. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I loved about the video I saw was the fact that he had this smile on his face.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever had that where you've heard when you're old, you're just like when you were young, kind of your expressions, your facial, your this, your that.
The diapers.
The diapers. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? There's lots of things where it kind of does
Comes
full circle, right?
sure, yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
full circle. When I saw him playing the guitar and dancing around, and it was just the look on his face
Yes.
was like he just got his first toy guitar from Sears.
I know.
And it really made me feel pretty cool.
Totally.
Watching it.
It truly
it did
does.
put a smile on my face too.
It's cliche, but rock and roll, it does keep you young. Let's face it.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Just crazy.
Like he's the same age as my dad. And my dad has none of those moves.
My dad has never
He's got some sweet moves,
moved
but they're
anywhere
not that-
near like that.
We've talked about this before, but I hope when it starts, he can't do it, then he says, okay, it's over. Like, I don't want him to not be doing that.
Yeah. You don't want him wheeling him out. Yeah.
You just don't.
No. And I don't think he'd want that either.
I don't either.
Maybe that's why he's smiling so hard and said, hey, man, I can still keep doing this for a while. And
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, so he got a heart valve replaced. Maybe they should just replace the whole thing. He can go for another 20.
Right. They have those modifications for him only, Okay. So we're gonna set it. We're gonna set it for a night at Madison Square.
He's got a heart guy in the back tweaking shit.
Yeah. Just so he could just go through life smoothly. Yeah.
He's
perfect.
fucking bionic. Anyway, that just made me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, up next on Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll, we are about to have our very first guest. Can you dig it?
Oh baby. Oh baby, can I? Beer, rum, and rock and roll is about to get its cherry popped
Hello.
with a guest. I love it.
Awesome, hey?
And I love who the guest is.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've known this guy a long time, and I can't wait to talk to him. His name is Mr. Reed Shimozawa.
Yeah.
Incredible guitar player. He's been a fixture in the Calgary music scene for decades. He's been in bands. He's done it all. He's had songs on the radio. He's had videos on Much Music. He's currently general manager of Guitar Works, a guitar chain in town.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a cover band. And want to pick his brain on what it's like being a working musician.
This guy is a fan, dedicated his whole career, not only as an artist, but as a performer and a supplier and an educator.
Yep.
And his whole life, rock
Yep.
music has been a key part of it, right?
Totally.
Cool to celebrate that and have a guy that's done that as our first guest. So
Yeah.
looking forward to the chat. So let's get at it.
Let's roll it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'd like to welcome Reed Shimozawa to the Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll podcast.
Here he is, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey,
for having
thanks
me.
for being here.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is going
it's
to
a
be great.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a nice little chat here with what did I say it was? It was a musician, artist, educator.
Don't forget the most important one. Fan.
And that was in there. That was first.
Yes.
That was first.
That was the list.
Go
Yeah.
back. Yeah, no, this is good. This is good. But that's
Yeah.
it. It was fan, musician, artist, educator. And
You bet.
That's the most important one. And you know why? Because that's the one that bleeds and creates all the others. You can't be any of those other things if you're not
Exactly.
a fan first.
right on. Yeah.
Right?
Man, are we ever.
Yes, and we are. Great. So great to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. That was
Okay.
great.
Let's jump. Thank you and good night. Let's jump right in, man. Let's take a trip back in time, Reed.
Seems like every day is a trip back
Yeah.
in time these days. Yeah.
I want to ask you what your first memory of music making a serious impact on you as a kid, let's say.
I don't remember a time when there wasn't music around.
Right.
You know, my mom was musical. She was not a musician. She did sing around the house and stuff, but she would always play records. And her younger brother actually lived with our family for a short period of time. And when he left his record collection.
Perfect.
And, you know, this would have been probably very early 70s or maybe even late 60s that this body of albums was from. And back then, as with a lot of things, there was a lot less, separation of, well, you like this or you like this or you
Yes.
like this, but you
Right.
can't like it all.
Not
Yep.
a divided culture anymore. It's
Exactly,
just music at
exactly.
that point, right? Yeah.
So, as was AM radio back then. I mean,
Totally.
you know, I have great memories of riding around in the back of my mom's car, listening to the radio, and you could hear, and these are songs I vividly remember hearing,
Yep.
you know, Don't Fear the Reaper, followed by Angel of the Morning, followed by,
Right.
Yep.
Hot Stuff or something. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Totally.
or Charlie Pride or,
Yep.
right? There was only hit songs from any genre,
Right.
really.
Yeah, it was
that's-
all hits radio, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just hits
That's
radio.
it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, you know, I think that's a huge part of my introduction to music and part of the reason why, you know, the things I've done and continue to do cover a lot of ground and why I still have interest in so many different kinds of music. Because to me,
Right.
it's just all music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there's only,
Good and bad.
well, I like to say
Not my thing.
Sorry,
the stuff I like and the stuff I don't.
That's right. That's right.
Right,
Sure.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
phrase it that way.
Yeah.
So what was in the box?
The stuff I
Do you
like
remember?
and the stuff that's shit.
Yeah.
Stuff that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crazy stuff.
You're-
Do you know what I mean? Like there was. I mean, it was mostly popular music, but the ones I can remember, Herb Alpert in the
Tijuana Brass,
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
and the one
Yeah.
that had the naked chick with whipped
Yes.
cream on her
Yeah.
titties, right? So, I mean, that one made an impact for sure. I was like, whoa, I should listen to this one.
See, I was busy with the Sears catalog.
See, that was why I looked at Elton John's record, Captain Fantastic and the
Yeah.
Brown Dirt Cowboy. I mean, the
Right.
nudity on there was
Yeah.
better than any Sears bra section, you know?
How about Roxy Music?
Oh, right.
yeah.
See, we were just chatting about them.
That's
Yeah.
the older
Just-
cousin would have had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Roxy Music, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, but
Yeah.
I knew that album cover for sure.
Yeah. It stood out. So do you remember what your first album you bought with your own money?
I do. It was K-Tel.
Yeah.
22
Yeah.
explosive hits, green cover, like big explosion, like boom, 22
Man,
explosive
we're leading
hits.
parallel lives. Mine was like Canadian Mint, I think it was called.
I had that one, but
No
that was
way, really?
Yeah, it was after. I'm probably a couple years older than you, so
I'm 53, so
Oh, we're the same.
there you go. I remember the songs were so fucking short because they had to edit the shit out of them. Remember that?
A lot of them were edited, but despite all that,
Yeah.
they were just like listening to the hits radio of the day.
Sure
You
was.
could
They
have
edited everything
the
there,
streak
too.
That's
Yeah.
right.
next to first cut is the deepest. Next
Boogity,
to
boogity.
Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Right. That's a great song.
Oh, that song.
Oh, man.
My kids, they laugh at me because I'm so into that song.
How
I
about
just-
they used it in Baby Driver? Did you see that?
I did. And
yeah,
it was
you
a
did.
big moment for me. I was
Oh,
like,
dude.
yeah.
Oh, man.
He stands up.
Oh,
the
it's like they remixed it, too. It was extra. I don't know. There's something extra
Oh,
going on there.
that, yeah. Jan Ackerman was the guitar player in that band, and
Okay.
that guy was a motherfucker.
Wow.
He is unbelievable. There's still things, when I listen to that, there's various versions of it, but the main album version of that, if you listen to that guitar playing, there's still stuff on there. I'm just like, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's
like, I have no
unreal.
idea, and that doesn't happen to me that often.
I was going to say, if you don't know.
I can't say that I can do that, but
Right.
I usually have some idea of what they're doing. But there's some stuff of his that I'm just like, that is so kind of jazzy in note choice, and yet so rock and roll in the way it's put out.
Your path, where did it take you to get the guitar in your hands, man? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, it's a short journey from, the K-Tel record to the Mansfield Hummingbird copy from Birdie School of Music,
Wow.
right? Like really, I would listen to these records. My mom and dad had a big old console stereo. Remember those? And I would just sit in front of it and just play records and like anything. Because you don't know what's cool or what's supposed to be cool. You just listen to the music and you connect with the things you connect with.
Yeah, because how old are you at this point?
This is all before I started playing guitar when I was 7 years older-ish.
Yeah.
Wow. That's early, man.
So this is all leading up to that.
Yeah.
Same
with me. I started at 8.
Yeah.
And it was guitar teachers that showed me music. My father was not into it at all, who I grew up with. But regardless of the story, he didn't have much. So it all came from education and what was going on at the time. And as a guitar player, this stuff would just happen that way and pretty quick. Like you're exactly right. At least in my experience, the same.
Yeah, I mean it's a short path from listening to that and seeing pictures in magazines or whatever and going, whoa, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're holding the broom.
Oh yeah.
I held the
Hocus
broom.
Pocus.
And that was about it.
And you're holding the broom, and then your mom's like, oh, would you like to take some music lessons?
Oh, that was my next question. Lessons
Yeah.
then? Yeah.
So I took lessons, and they were, lessons back then were like lessons now, or it was a very structured sort of thing. You start on book 1 and page 1, and it's like
Smoke on the Water's not on page 1?
No, it's like the notes of the high E string, bling, 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 bling.
See, that
was my experience,
This
yeah.
is an interesting thing because you had mentioned that you took up guitar younger.
Yep.
Terrible instructor,
And
you
I
thought,
bailed.
and the type of music that they were trying to teach you
Yep.
drove you away
If
from
they
the
would
instrument.
have, if they would have showed me a fucking power chord, who knows?
You had the same experience with a kind of a structured program, but
Well,
what was it? What was it that from that point that you knew it's structured, but you're going,
it was difficult, but I do remember, like vividly, still to this day, 50 years later almost, the path and the steps. you know, and because I did that, and I just wanted to learn to play the goddamn thing so much that I stuck with it probably for longer than a lot of other kids would, even though I was bling, bling, bling.
See, that's the difference.
Bling. And, you know,
Yeah.
and then I learned a few chords. But then I remember having a teacher who showed me
Yeah.
Hit the Road Jack.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was a song that I knew. I knew the Stampeders version, not the Ray Charles.
That's the one I know
version,
too.
sadly.
Yeah.
But I loved this song, and that was
Yeah.
actually the Stampeders were one of the first bands that I bought an album of outside of a collection, like a K-Tel record.
Me
Or
too.
something.
I had New Day with Ramona.
I had that one too.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
of
I
here.
had that one too. I bought it at Simpson Sears in
Oh, man.
Lethbridge, if you're wondering. And so he showed me how to play Hit the Road Jack. And not only did he show me how to play Hit the Road Jack, because that involved playing bar chords,
Right.
Yeah.
which were hard as fuck.
And the guitars back then,
Yeah,
not
I would have been
not
playing,
fun to play.
I would have been playing my
Action was a little high.
Yeah. But then, after he taught me to play it, he started improvising
Yeah.
a solo over top of it, and I was like, "What the fuck? Where is the music for that? What are you doing?
What's happening?"
I didn't see that in Mel Bay Book 3."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I'm improvising," and I
You
was
can
like,
do that.
"What the fuck is improvising?"
Right on. Yeah.
And then he was like, "Well, let me show you,"
Yeah.
and he showed me, you know, the pentatonic box pattern 1.
Right.
And that was a huge thing for me. That definitely fueled my fire to
So
go.
the instructor, right? Like it's
The instructor certainly that I don't know if he intentionally did that or if it just happened, you know. And at the same time, he was allowing me to go to the music store, and
Yeah.
buy a book of songs by artists. You know, I remember having a book called Big 76. It was 76 of the biggest songs from 1976.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
So you
Big
learned Detroit Rock
76.
City then?
Actually, no. That was not in there,
Damn.
sadly. So one night in junior high school, this is all in elementary, but in junior high school, I think I was in, grade 8 or 9. And one night I'm home alone listening to music like I always did.
Yeah.
And there's a knock at the door, and I go to the door, and it's 2 guys that I knew pretty well. They're actually one guy from my grade, one guy a grade younger, and one guy that was older by a year or 2. And
they're all 3 of them standing at your door.
all 3 of them are standing at my door.
They had the hair
And
going.
I'm like a straight A student. I'm
This
like
is junior high, like you in grade 8, 9. Is this where this is?
the keyboard player in School of Rock.
Yeah.
I'm closer to that guy than I am to Slash right at this point. I was like totally a straight A student
Right.
with my glasses on, short hair, and
Right.
But these 3 guys come, they've got the long hair.
They saw your potential,
They're
Reed.
smoking. They got pierced ears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's corrupt this kid.
And I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know if I was gonna get beat up or what. And I opened the door, I'm like, oh hey. And they're like, hey man, we heard you're a really good guitar player.
There you go.
We're looking for somebody to join our band. I was like, yeah, I'll do that, you know.
Right on.
And they said, okay, well, here they had a stack of albums with them. We're doing this song off this album, this song off this album, and they marked them all down. They said,
Learn this shit.
learn them.
Awesome.
At the time, I had learned maybe 3 or 4 songs on my own. One of them was Sad Eyes by Robert John.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I told you I was all over the place.
Rockin' tune.
Yeah. So I sat down and started to learn these songs, and they weren't easy. There was a lot of triumph in there.
Oh, yeah.
Love Triumph.
Me too.
I remember What's Another Day of Rock and Roll was one of the songs that was one of the ones I had my first breakthrough. Was like, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. I was like, I can do this.
That's off their first album, right? Yeah.
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 It's taken so long to make it this far. What's another day of rock and roll? It's taken so long to make it this far. What's another day of rock and roll?
we ended up playing together for quite a few years I'd say from, grade 9 until we finished high school for sure. And we would rehearse every night. And this is in the very early 80s. I would say, 82 to 84.
Right.
And we were playing mostly new wave of heavy metal stuff, Maiden.
Saxon.
I don't know if we played any Saxon, but, like Def Leppard,
Priest.
Priest. We played a lot of Riot. Do you ever hear that band
yeah.
from New York?
Yeah,
They
you
were a
bet.
fucking killer
Horrible
band.
album covers, but great band.
Man, yeah. I actually listened to a song from them the other day and I was like,
man.
oh my God, this shit is like,
Yeah.
it's the pre-Van Halen
Yes.
rock and roll that was still sort of blues based, but as far removed from that as you get. Oh man, it was
Not
so
enough
good.
people know about that
melodic
band. Yeah.
and great playing. Our singer had a basement, and his dad was very supportive of him, and he would drive us. He was the one who drove us up to Calgary to see Van Halen for the '84 tour. Drove us
Okay.
up and back on the same night.
Wow.
And not the '84 tour, fair warning.
Right.
And
Wow.
And we would rehearse in their basement. We used to set off smoke bombs down there. Like we had our own.
You had your own pyro.
Yeah, we had.
I'm thinking like Detroit Rock City, the movie right
movie,
now.
yeah.
I'm just thinking exactly
We
that.
had. So here's the deal. Here's how to do it in case you ever want to do it, guys.
Okay.
Okay, well, I
We
want to
built
know.
a little box out of plywood,
Yeah.
and with just a little hole in it, and you run an extension cord through there with the end cut off and the two wires bared. And you have two nails in there, and you wrap the
Wires
leads
around.
around each. Then you take just one strand of the copper wire from each
That's key.
and tie them together, so they'll short out when you
Okay.
plug that in.
I see.
You put a little pile of gunpowder on top of there.
Really?
From the local, from the
But you
convenience
get it at
store.
the local hardware store. It's right.
At that time,
Exactly, yeah,
they'd sell it to 12-year-old kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is what's happening.
We had our own light crew. We used to call them Boom and Bang, and these guys were fucking nuts. They would so.
They're looking to expand their creativity, obviously.
We
Yes.
made a little light box too with just light switches, from house light switches, and attached to these plugs. So we would all go out and steal floodlights from people's lawns, and we had them all hung up in the basement. And then we had our pyro, and then when you're ready for it to go off, you just flick the switch and short out the two wires.
What could go wrong?
And it go poof.
What could go wrong, man?
What could go wrong, indeed? Well, actually, something, believe it or not, did go wrong
Oh, yeah.
eventually. Well, our singer's little brother found the gunpowder, went out in the back alley, poured a pile of it into the alley, and lit a match to it.
Yeah, he
and
did.
blew his, burnt his eyebrows off and half of his hair.
Fuck, that stinks like a motherfucker
man.
too. Yeah.
And that was the end of our
Yeah.
pyro show. Unfortunately, that's where Steve's dad put his foot down and said, "Enough's enough."
Yeah.
Robbie over here has no fucking eyebrows.
See, no one's that adventurous
That's
these
crazy.
days, right? Like now they go to the Google
There's no
and go,
creativity.
okay, how am I going to do exactly? This is where you. I love these stories, man.
Our dream at that point was, let's get on the road, man.
Yeah.
Play to a bunch of people.
Yeah. Soon as we were 18, that's what our entire goal was. Now you got to remember again, I was a straight A student. My folks thought I was going to be a dentist or
Yeah.
a doctor or
You're
an
such a
accountant.
disappointment, Reed.
I was. I still am. Yeah. So, but I mean, it just became all I could think about, So we started going to the bars, and at one point, a friend of mine said, "You have to," who's still a very good friend of mine. He said, "You have to come see this band. You have to come see this band. It's going to blow your fucking mind." And we went to the Alec Arms Hotel in Lethbridge, and we sat there, and I was like, all right. Because we thought we were pretty hot shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right.
Somebody's telling me I gotta go check these guys out. Yeah.
Let's see. My hair is getting pretty long.
I was just going to say, how long's your hair now? Yeah.
So the band was called Reform School. They come out and they look like a fucking gang. Like,
Right.
And they're like Motley Crue happening at the same time as Motley Crue, though. Like before Motley
Right.
Crue was even big, they were
Right.
already like the dyed black hair and
Right.
spiky and the crazy clothes.
And they're from Lethbridge.
No, they were a road band.
Oh, I see.
And the guitar player, both guitar players were amazing, but the one guy was he did stuff that I was like, what the, I'd just never seen somebody
Right.
do that
Right.
in real life.
Just shredding.
Just shredding. And they were so cool. And their bass player was the coolest of all. Well, to me, he was like, oh, that guy is cooler than Nikki Sixx. Do you know what I mean? Like he had a similar look, but he was,
Right.
to me, he was rock and roll.
Right on.
And I turned around to my friend who brought me there, and I said, I'm going to play with that guy right there. That guy, I want to play with that guy. And he said, yeah, right. Fucking loser. And
Kids are cruel.
kids are cruel. But
Kids are
yeah, you had
pricks.
every right to.
Kids are pricks. Yeah.
But
I think I know who it is, but go ahead.
it's Terry Talbot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who you play with to
and
this
who I
day.
still play it with to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah. I was with still my Lethbridge buddies on the road. We were playing in Ponoka. And I went to the record store there. We'd always find time to go to the record store. The record store there was like they sold appliances
Oh, yeah,
and shit
right.
and records.
Right, sure.
Or cassettes.
They go hand in hand,
And I had
right?
a boombox on the road. And I had read in some magazine a little tiny blurb about Guns N' Roses and how
Yep.
it's really different but amazing, and
It started slow.
and I was like, whoa, how do I, and as I'm browsing through, because that's what you'd always do, you'd look through
Yeah,
everything,
for
You
sure.
bet.
and I see, oh, Guns N' Roses, that's that band, I've heard of them. There was one copy on cassette, and I bought it, and I took it back to my hotel room, put it in my boombox, and
Yeah.
listened to it like 10 times. Called all the other guys in the band. And, we were, at that time, think about what was happening in rock and roll before GNR. It was
Yep.
spandex.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe blazers, the pastel color.
Yeah.
And lots of shredding. Like
Yeah.
all...
On the fluorescent pink guitar.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally,
Yeah.
right? And... Or graphics on the
Yes.
guitar, right?
Yeah.
And so I called the guys into the band. I said, look, guys... And I thought they'd get it.
Shit's changing, man.
You know what I mean? Because I could feel myself changing. And I wanted nothing more to be Steve Vai or Eddie Van Halen, or, do you know what I mean? I was playing like my guitar up here, like
Right.
trying to shred like those guys. I wasn't that great at it, but
Right.
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, whoa. So I called these guys into my room and I play, It's So Easy and Welcome to the Jungle and a couple other songs.
My Michelle.
And I'm going, like, right?
Right. Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, at least half of them went, I don't know. Like, I can't really play like Vito Bratta. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Who's Vito Bratta?
White Lion. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Well, it took people a year to catch on to that shit.
So
So
I left the band.
Over that, eh? Yeah, well.
Good for you.
I mean, there were many things, but I had just at that point, I was like, no. And this was part of this whole Terry thing. And then so
Right.
I began to call Terry and I was like, dude, have you heard Guns N' Roses yet? Like, this is the band that we need to be. We need, I was taking inspiration from his old band. We need to be a gang of
Yeah.
dudes, and we're
Yeah.
gonna be badass, and we're gonna
Right.
but we're gonna be good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
he's probably thinking, "Fuck this kid! Like,
Enough already.
go away," you know. But finally, one of the times I call him and I'm like, "Terry, it's Reed. Like, how about it? Like, come back." He goes, "It's time." He goes, "We found the singer." Because that's what he's always like, "Well, who's going to fucking sing?" Like, he goes, "We found
I know who it is.
Yeah, he's like, we found the singer out here." I said, "Yeah?" Yeah, he goes, "Get this. His name's Johnny Harley."
I love it.
It's perfect.
I'm like, "What? Like his real name?" He goes, "No shit, it's his real name."
It really is his real
Yeah,
name?
it's his real name.
Oh, dude.
And so I'm like, "Okay, that sounds pretty good."
Your dentist is not Johnny fucking Harley. This guy is going to be on stage.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, he plays in this band out here. We've already talked to him. And we just, we became like what we wanted to be, like a band of brothers right away. And we started rehearsing even before we'd played a gig. We'd go out and people would be able to see like, whoa, well, there's a band.
Well, you guys stood out for sure. I mean, just the look, the hair,
That was
the
Smash
glasses,
LA.
everything.
So that was Smash LA, yeah.
What's behind the name?
The name came from so as soon as we realized that Guns N' Roses is it, but we didn't play a ton right at the beginning because they were not hits. Mm-hmm. No one would have known it. We would have loved to have come out and played all of Appetite for Destruction, but at that time, no one knew a lot of that shit. Right. So we played, a lot of. I remember we used to open with "Wanted Man" by Rat.
Oh yeah, I love Rat.
Love Rat.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we played a lot of. We played some Aerosmith for sure. We played Van Halen, and we played, and then we played some stuff that was newer at the time. And one of the other bands that we were really into that we discovered, sort of that was falling on the sort of coattails of GNR, was Faster Pussycat.
Love them. Yeah.
And so they had that song Smash Alley.
That's right. Off the first album, yeah.
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 And somebody said, "What about Smash Alley?" And I said, "I don't want to fucking name myself after some other band's song. Like, fuck that."
Right.
And Johnny was kind of, fucking around, and he was like, "Smash Alley, Smash Alley, Smash Alley." And
Boom.
The way he said it, it sounded like Smash LA. And I said,
on.
"Hey, what about Smash LA?" And it just kind of stuck.
Cool.
Okay.
Came from Faster Pussycat. I love those guys. You guys end up cutting an album. Take Me There.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we were a cover band, but we always had visions of being more than that. And
So, were you working in originals when you're playing those covers or what?
From pretty much from the get-go, we started working in originals. So we play a whole night of covers, but, at our peak, we were playing close to a whole album's worth of originals.
Wow.
Spread into...
Three sets a night or whatever. Yeah.
3 50-minute sets or whatever they were.
Right.
And we started to get known for it. People started to ask for our songs.
Right on. Yeah.
Which was kind of a weird situation to be in, and it was a unique scene in Canada at the time because there wasn't a huge original scene outside of Toronto.
Right.
But we kind of forged our own thing by going and playing all these cover bars, but doing, putting in our songs, which were at least good enough that people accepted them, if not liked them. And it was gratifying to look out and see the girls all dancing, their hair sprayed like this,
crispy bangs. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and
Singing irons. Yeah, we're all there.
and singing along to your songs.
Yeah. Of course.
It's pretty rad.
And you're making videos. I mean, this is a big deal.
We started to make videos at a time when, making your own videos was pretty unheard of because home video wasn't a thing yet. We shot our first video was Breaking All the Rules.
Yeah.
So grassroots, like so
it looks
DIY.
Cool, though. Yeah.
had a manager who wasn't very experienced, but his heart was in the right place, and he actually got some things to happen for us. And one of them was that he got us played on the Power Hour.
Right on. I watched that religiously.
We did watch that a lot.
And then we got played on the Power Hour again, and then again, and then again. And it kind of got into like a semi-regular rotation almost.
So for those of you who don't know, this is the Canadian equivalent to Headbangers Ball, I guess you could call it. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all metal. Yeah.
And then we started touring out east, like going to Toronto, playing Rock and Roll Heaven and Gasworks and, some of the bigger places and doing all original sets.
Right.
And then we did a couple of interviews with, we did one with Terry David Mulligan and we, what I mean? Like, and things started to feel like they were happening. But unfortunately at that time, this would have been right around the time when that style of music was...
It's right on the cusp, right? Yeah.
Was had reached its pinnacle and was waning. And, we were right around the corner from Nirvana coming out and spoiling everything.
Fucking everything up, yeah. I want to read you something I saw online.
Sure.
And I want to know if it's bullshit or not. You ready? I'm just
It's
reading
bullshit.
Ready?
Right.
If it's about me, it's bullshit.
Fake news.
It can't be bullshit. It's online.
While you read this,
Okay,
I'm going to
ready?
top up on beers. Do you guys need anything?
I do need one, yeah.
I'm good for now.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Touring bands such as The Cult and Faster Pussycat would often get on stage and jam with Smash LA late into the night. Hang on. Drummer Dan Portfield's birthday bash at Club Soda in Vancouver found exotic dancers and copious amounts of liquor on the stage. Reed, you bad boys. And here's the key. An audience filled with Aerosmith's Crew, London Choir Boys, and Jimmy Page. Is that true?
Man,
Jimmy fucking Page was watching you? Is that true?
2 nights in a row.
Not only is it true, it's true twice. Okay, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot about that, but that's actually remarkably accurate.
I just stumbled
where
on
was
it.
it?
I was doing a little research, and that's verbatim. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's remarkably accurate. We jammed and/or played to so many because we were big enough that we became wherever we were playing was the place to be
After the concert.
Fuck
yeah. It
So
makes
what
sense,
would happen is, or if they got into town the night before and they're like, well, what are we gonna fucking do? Where can we go? Where's the cool place to go?
Right.
So we ended up meeting so many of the massive rock stars
this is what I
the
love.
day
Yeah.
because of that.
Right.
We couldn't make their shows.
Because you're
But they
playing.
came to us.
There you go.
So I remember breaking into the Vancouver scene. Well, Vancouver is very slow to accept Smash LA because we were too rock. We were too dirty. We were too vulgar. We were too everything. Vancouver was at the time,
Right.
they liked their rock clean.
Right.
I remember an agent from Vancouver coming to see us in Edmonton at a time when Smash LA was just cruising like a fucking machine, and it seemed like there was no stopping us.
Right.
And he came in and watched one song and left laughing and told our agent, he was like, never. They'll never play in Vancouver. No way.
Crazy. So this, yeah.
Then, flash forward, eventually this whole scene becomes too big for them to deny it. They book us into the Metro, which was a giant, massive rock club, the place to be. And it also was the place where all the bands who were recording at Little Mountain would usually end up, because it's where all the girls were. It was big. It was rock. It was, So we end up getting booked there. And our first week booked there, we were opening on one of the nights. I think it was a 4-nighter or something like that. It wasn't a whole week like it was here, maybe 3-nighter or something. And the one night that we were booked there, we were opening for some band. And we're like, fuck, we don't open for bands. We're Smash LA.
I'm waiting for the name drop. Yeah.
And it was because they told us the name. They said it's a band called She-Rock.
Oh, fuck.
I'm like, She-Rock? I don't know, fucking open. I'm not opening for a bunch of girls. We're Smash LA. Turns out that it was Amy Cannon, who was one of Motley Crue's Nasty Habits,
Okay.
And I think she's from Vancouver. She was also.
Is that the one that married Mick Mars, or is it the
Yeah.
other one?
Yeah,
It's that one.
it was
All
that
right.
one. So,
Still, they should have been opening for you, I think.
we
Just saying.
we do our set and they show up and fucking it's a big deal. Like there's because of their tie-ins and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And throughout the course of that weekend, Vince Neil showed up, got up on stage and jammed.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh.
He had one of his people come up to us. Oh,
One of his people.
Vince would like to get up and sing a song with you guys. He would like to do Wild Side.
Woody.
Okay.
Do you boys know that one?
Well, we'd already done it. We'd already done it.
Played it.
So that's how we knew we did it, right?
Okay.
Right.
But I remember it was a
must have did it
huge
well.
deal for us. We're like, whoa, and he got up and
Well, he was badass back then.
yeah,
Come on.
he's also drunk when he wasn't supposed to be.
Shocker.
Yeah, he was supposed. This is after the whole Razzle incident.
Yes.
Ah.
But we'd only sing half the words. You don't have to be sober. You just...
Actually, at that time, he sang pretty much all the words.
Did he?
Yeah,
Wow.
and not bad.
Yeah.
That same week, and they were in town because they were working on.
Dr. Feelgood.
And at the same time, Aerosmith was working on,
Pump.
and they showed up as well. So
Fuck off. Aerosmith showed up?
not all of them. And the very same week, Bon Jovi played in town with Skid
Okay.
Row opening.
Saw that here.
Oh,
Skid Row buried him.
I
But
would
yeah.
think so.
and Rachel Bolan. I looked down on the side of the stage, and Rachel Bolan is
Well, there's only one guy with a chain going from his nose to his
right
ear.
at the time, right? So
That hadn't caught on yet.
yeah, I ended up, meeting Nikki Sixx, which was a
Really?
huge deal.
That's
like,
awesome.
Like literally, hi,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And
All
Vince
cool,
Neil
or-
got up and jammed. Yeah, the only assholes I ever met out of all the guys we've ever was Metallica. They were fucking dickweeds.
I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun thing. So we get off stage this one night back to Aerosmith, after playing, and the place is packed. And this place was amazing. Like it was, tons of girls, lots of strippers, like lots of rock fans. Like everybody in the crowd looks as rock as the guys on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like
like-
crazy.
it's like
yeah.
the
Dress the
Sunset-
part 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like the Sunset Strip.
So the dressing room was all the way at the other end of the club. So
Right.
at the end, I grab my guitars and I proceed to fight my way through this crowd to try and get rid of my guitars. And I'm like, literally like moving to one person at a time. And lots of people are like, hey, man, you guys are great, or, whatever. Your singer sucks. Whatever, I'm like,
Sorry,
oh,
Johnny.
yeah, oh, cool, whatever.
Here's my card.
So I am going through this crowd, and somebody taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey, man, I just want to say, great set. I was like, cool, thanks, man.
Who's this going to be?
I take like 3 more steps and I go, that was Brad Whitford.
No way.
I turn around, gone in the crowd. Like,
I got goosebumps, man. Holy fuck.
It's just like somebody tapping you on the shoulder, and you just kind of
He vanishes.
And you see like kind of half a face or whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah, thanks. And then I turn
then
around
he's gone.
and then I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
oh my God, that was Brad Whitford.
Oh,
And
man.
I turn around and he was gone.
That's awesome.
The alleged story also from that night, I was not there, but apparently some of Aerosmith, I'm not sure exactly which ones, were all at a table. And Johnny Harley came up with a tray of shooters. We used to drink so much Jack back in the day. Tray of Jack, like a
Yeah.
full-on, they used to give us whatever we wanted.
Sure.
Right? And he goes, hey,
That's exactly how he
Yeah.
sounds.
fucking Aerosmith, I got you guys some shots. And they're like, we're sober.
Right.
Oh, yes. They're being good then.
They're famously
Yeah.
Sober.
right? Awkward as fuck, right?
Yeah.
So Johnny Harley goes, oh well, more for me then.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's that.
But back to the quote, like Jimmy Page.
Oh, yeah,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so also, I mean, this in Vancouver, we started just being like, we felt like kings in that city where we could just do anything. And
How
we
awesome,
started playing Club
eh?
Soda as well. Club Soda is legendary. It was a lot smaller and a lot less, perfect.
Right.
But it had the right vibe for
Right.
for rock and roll club, and all the rock stars used to go there. We played on Bob Rock's stag party. They all end up at
I was
our
getting
show,
to this. So that's true.
at our show. Yeah.
Bob was looking at you guys.
Oh. Yeah,
That's what I read.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really know because only he
Right.
could tell. I never had any direct conversations with him.
Right.
But it was said a lot.
And you
that-
played his stag. Is that
Yeah, well, they showed up.
At
They chose to
Right.
come to where we were, and they played. And I remember seeing a jam with Bob Rock playing bass, I believe, CeCe DeVille on guitar, and Herman Rarebell from the Scorpions on drums. Like just
What?
crazy shit that you could not make up.
that's bizarre.
So at some point we're playing, and they came back and said the owner of Club Soda, it was a woman, Shirley. She came back and she said, "I just thought you guys should know, Jimmy Page is going to be here tonight." They
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Sorry, what? And
Yeah,
you're
wow.
telling me
I
this
mean-
before I play? Like, really?
I mean, CeCe DeVille and shit, that's fine.
Yeah.
Jimmy fucking Page? Are you
so
kidding me?
he was there
Oh,
recording
man.
the Coverdale Page
Right.
record.
Which is an underrated record.
I liked it.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed up. He had this little roped off section on the sort of upper seating part, and he was sitting there in a suit, drinking his whatever he
Not
was
by,
drinking.
he's by himself? No.
He, by my memory, he was by himself, but he couldn't have been. There
Right.
had to be
Somebody. Yeah.
somebody watching over him. And and then at some point there was like, "Would you like to meet Mr. Page?" You know,
Somebody came up to you and told you
No
this.
we're backstage in the green room.
Let me think. Yes. Yeah.
Wait, but you know what? Here's the problem: is it's hard to meet somebody of that stature because what the fuck are you
It's-
gonna say
yeah,
to
it-
Jimmy Page?
It's
Right.
weird.
What the
Yeah.
fuck are you gonna say to Jimmy Page?
Just say, you do all the talking, thanks, and I'll just sit here.
No
You can-
selfies
yeah.
back then to do that. you know.
Yeah, it was like it was awkward actually.
Yeah, I can
mean,
see
it was a
that.
great moment still to just be in his presence, and he had presence.
Right.
Of course he did.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Even a handshake, that's good.
Yeah, I had a handshake, and I don't know. I probably said something like, "Oh, you're real good."
Remember when?
Remember that time? Remember that time?
Remember that time? And
You did that solo in Heartbreaker? You remember that?
that was awesome.
yeah, exactly, right? I mean, what are you
You
going
go
to...
all Farley. Go full Farley.
There was nowhere to go with it except for that. So then after that, you sit there.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about, sir?
Yeah.
That's still awesome, though.
That's still pretty weird.
But it was fucking mega
I mean,
cool.
come on. There's another level,
And
and
he
that's
came
it.
back another night, too. So we couldn't have been that fucking terrible.
This reminds me of something. Do you remember when we were at Dutton's at the Saddle Dome? We were seeing Iron Maiden or something.
Yeah.
We were all, you and
Yeah,
Jamie and I, and we're swapping Brushes with Fame stories. Oh, I've been backstage for Iron Maiden 3 times, and you're doing yours. Jamie's doing his. He's not saying shit.
yeah.
He waits till we're all done and goes, I met Jimmy Page.
That's all you said. I think that's all you said that night. That's right.
I'm like, fuck you. I knew there was something coming.
That was 2 hours of my awesome
Are
story
you guys
wasted.
done?
Yeah.
I met Jimmy Page.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was huge. You know,
No
and,
kidding.
And yeah, I'm glad it happened. I wish I could have thought of something better to say.
Was Kiss before, like, was Zeppelin, okay, I was curious for you, was it Zeppelin first or Kiss
Zeppelin
first?
was first, but in a very roundabout way. And I got Zeppelin on a cassette, like a recorded cassette from somebody.
Like Zeppelin 1? Or
No, Zeppelin 4.
4, yeah, okay, yeah.
And I liked it, but I didn't know enough about the band to really...
Right. I was by
they
your
wear
age,
makeup?
I was just curious if it was like, you know, which one happened, because for a lot of our generation, Kiss was like a huge.
It's the biggie.
It's just so on a different level.
Kiss. Yeah, I mean, Kiss was it for me, just like it was for most.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there is, you know.
Yeah.
Get your thoughts together, Reed. I know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even need really to be said because so many of us share the same experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, you know,
Which does say something about that.
so important and
Right.
so
Overwhelming.
You know, I saw Kiss. The first time I saw Kiss was in '77.
You did, hey?
You did?
You know, the Love Gun, and you know, we got good seats. My my uncle knew the promoter. We got really good seats, not on the floor, but on the side, but good because I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
They fit that stage into Lethbridge, hey? Like
They didn't
scale
do
it
the
down.
risers.
They didn't do the risers, right?
They didn't do the.
Right.
They did the drum one, but not the two
Not the
side
two on the
ones.
sides, right? Yeah,
But they had the staircases and everything.
right.
You know, I remember going there, buying a bunch of merch, and you know,
I wish I had that.
Yeah, me too.
I think
I was too
still have
young.
my program somewhere. It's a big printed program like that.
They didn't come to the Okanagan. God damn it.
And you know, you sit down, and it's just me and my cousin, my younger cousin.
Right.
And that was one of the first shows we were allowed to go. Just think, you send a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old
To see Kiss. Like,
to
holy
see,
fuck.
you know what I mean? And so we're sitting there, and
We made sure we brought our kids before they were 12.
That's right.
Anyways,
My kid is
side
4.
note, but we did.
My kid is 4.
Exactly.
And he
My kid
loved
was
it,
8,
but anyway.
9, or 10 or something. Beauty. Anyways, go on.
these are
sorry.
different times.
Yeah.
We could have got past a joint. We probably
yes, you probably did. I'm sure you did. What's this?
did. Yeah. Ooh, this cigarette smells funny.
Do you remember who opened?
Cheap Trick.
Of course. It's Cheap Trick or Ted Nugent, one of the two.
Cheap Trick, man.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
come on. Is there
Yeah.
a better 70s concert to see?
No, there isn't.
I just love both those bands. Yeah. those-
Like, it was, and we were not big Cheap Trick fans at the time, but we became massive
Right.
Cheap Trick
They
fans.
could write a
Especially my
pop rock
cousin.
song, man.
My
Still
cousin
great.
just like, he almost abandoned Kiss for Cheap Trick. Like,
You can't abandon Kiss.
but
Now, how
when
loud?
they came on, you know, we're sitting there.
Yeah.
These two little kids. The lights go down.
Yeah.
The crowd's like,
You wanted the best.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And we had all the albums and everything, so we kind of knew what we were going to hear.
Yeah.
But as we were talking about earlier, you couldn't experience
No.
that.
No picture
without,
in 16 magazine is going to fucking capture that.
You saw a bunch of still pictures, but you
Yeah.
had no idea what you were going to get.
Yeah.
And I remember that the lights went down and they came out on stage, not on the risers. They didn't come down on the risers because they didn't have them there.
Right.
They walked out on stage and the lights were down, but I could see
The outline.
Shimmering lights from
the shimmering lights from the metal on their and from the rhinestones on Paul's thing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm breathing the same air as Kiss. I remember so vividly having that thought. Like, I am breathing the same air as Kiss right fucking now. And then kaboom, right?
How fucking loud was that? Like, it must have just
It
been.
seemed
They must have more quality control on that now where they can only hit a certain decibel. But back then, I bet you it did.
Oh, I bet
It
you was
didn't
just-
matter,
yeah.
right?
Oh
I'm
man,
sure.
like it seemed unbelievably loud, and yet so
I'm sure it was. I'm sure
and yet
it was.
so
Oh, man.
perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the whole thing, you know, like every song, we knew every song, which is the best way to see any concert.
Yeah.
But and then the show, you know, the logo. You think about it, you see the logo up behind them every time but you don't see what it does. And all the letters flash, and they you know. They do the thing, like even that, I was just like, "Did you see that? That's amazing!" And
Yeah.
you know, the pyro. I remember we could feel the
heat,
pyro, the
yeah.
heat of the pyro, and
I'm so jealous.
you know, Paul busts the guitar and throws picks out, and you know, Gene spits blood and blows fire, and Ace with the smoking guitar and
Just
the
unreal.
firing rockets out the end, and
Yeah,
Oh, man.
the attraction there. I grew up in Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
and Dynasty tour, and somebody was talking about, oh, they got the headstock from the smashed guitar,
Right.
and this would echo through the lower mainland.
Oh yeah, can I come and see it?
Oh, yeah. You know, like, and as a fan,
Right.
Yeah.
back to being a fan, it was like, what? You know, and you had to be, you just wanted to be near as close as possible. And this is just one little tiny moment in a show of thousands and thousands and thousands of
it meant
shows.
so much more back then, though, because as we
Right.
talked about earlier, you couldn't look. You know, I'm sure right now, if you want to fucking, you know, watch Paul Stanley take a shit.
Let me Google that.
You know, I mean,
Exactly.
we don't need to see that. I don't need
No.
Family
You know-
Jewels, I couldn't watch it.
you.
It was like
Yeah,
too
I
much,
mean,
too
we
much.
need to have some mystery in that, and that's why I don't believe that there will ever be another
There won't.
There won't be.
that kind of fandom to that degree.
absolutely.
That spawned a huge range of musicians. We're not just talking rock musicians. We're talking country guys, jazz guys, blues guys, whatever. Oh, name an influence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our ilk, like in our
Yeah.
time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're definitely a band of the time, but
just-
it's just, you're right, because
is
of
that-
the mystery. And that's when I got out, man. I don't know about you. Oh, I know about you, but I don't know about you. But when did you get out? Just as a side
I
note.
held on for
You
a
did,
long
eh?
time, but I mean, I knew it was over.
Oh, I did too.
I think
But
they all do.
I still went to Animalize and Crazy Nights. That
Animalize,
was my first Kiss show.
Animalize. I met them on the Animalize tour in Lethbridge. Me and the same guy who took me to see Reform School,
Okay.
my friend Reggie. He and I were still huge Kiss fans. We still wanted to believe.
Of course.
Right.
You want to
Wanna
believe.
believe.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you, brother.
We still wanted to believe, and so we made a big banner on a bed sheet. We painted a perfect Kiss logo, like with the yellow to orange thing, and we put the animal skin backgrounds.
Did it
Like,
say Where's Ace on it?
And we took it to the show, fought our way down to the front, and we held that thing up. And Paul reached down and grabbed it and held it up on stage. It was the pictures of it were in the paper the next
Really?
day and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we ended up getting it back, and we took it to the Lethbridge Lodge where, you know, Deep Throat told us they were staying.
Deep throat.
And sure enough, we get there and we go to the restaurant, and there they are.
You just see hair
They're
everywhere.
in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And
Like
so,
the whole band?
I remember
makeup,
that Gene, Paul, and Bruce were there. You know, so we're all kind of like, there's a whole bunch of us, right?
Right.
And we all know each other, and we're like, what do we do? Like, do we just wait here? And finally, one of us, I can't remember exactly, might have been Reg, goes, fuck this, I'm going in. And he's like,
That would- that would-
you need
that would
that
be-
guy. You
that would
need
be
that
me.
guy.
That
You
would
know
be
what?
me.
I'm not gonna have this.
and he starts marching into the restaurant, and Gene's like eating like this, and he looks up, and he goes,
Not right now.
Wow.
No
I can
way.
see it. I can totally see it.
Crushed.
For sure. It's like the tray of Jack Daniels, you know? The other story. It's like, fuck.
Oh, that must have crushed him, man.
so
Oh, shit.
now we're waiting again.
Gene doesn't
Eventually-
have to say a word.
Does the finger
Eventually,
wag?
they do come out, and we got them to sign our stuff. And my friend Reg, he was the hugest Paul Stanley fan. He had a little rose tattoo on his shoulder. He loved Paul Stanley. He just thought, because I was such a huge fan. I almost thought like Paul should know. You know, I'm here. It's me. I'm your biggest fan.
Don't you recognize
You know
me?
what I mean? But of course, you know,
Yeah.
there's a million of those guys right in the
right.
world. And so Paul had a bunch of people to talk to, and Reg started asking questions or something, and he was like, yeah. You know, just hold it a second. And he kind of blew Reg off.
Yeah, that's tough.
And it's funny. This is a lesson learned, I guess, because after that, you know, we leave, and Reg is just like,
Crushed.
He's crushed.
That's a
And I
tough
said,
night.
I was like,
Tough night.
Rejection.
I was like,
Oh,
Reg, what are
boy.
we going to do with this banner? We got it signed now, and there's only one. He goes, you can have that fucking thing. I don't give a shit about
Wipe your
Kiss."
ass with it.
Wow. Was that the end for Reg?
No, he's still kind of.
Still, yeah.
You know, Kiss fans are all talk.
But he's still angry, goddammit.
They're all talk.
I still have that banner somewhere.
Really, eh?
In my shit somewhere.
So
Yeah.
was that your first concert then, the Kiss one?
Oh, God, no. My first concert was.
Because that's early, man.
That's 77. I was 12 years old. I'd been to lots of concerts by now.
Oh, see, my first wasn't until Fair Warning, man. That was my first show.
I mean, I started going to concerts like with my parents or with because they knew I liked music
cool
or
of
with
them
my
to do that,
uncle.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw Freddie Fender.
Cool.
Calm down.
Wasted days and wasted nights.
I saw that live.
Wicked.
Yeah.
I like
saw
Freddie.
Neil Sedaka.
Ooh, what's Neil Sedaka? My parents listened to that. In the house.
Laughter in the Rain.
Laughter in the Rain. That's right.
Calendar Girl.
Yeah.
Calendar
Right
girl.
on.
Yeah.
Right.
I love my calendar
The
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first rock concert was BTO.
Oh, I love BTO.
My uncle took me to see BTO.
What tour? Do you remember that album?
They had a kick-ass logo too.
Oh, yeah.
The sprockets
Yeah.
all lit up and turning in opposite directions. I was like, taking care of business indeed.
I love that band. Fucking four-wheel drive. I
Yeah,
fucking
right?
love it.
Yeah, I was a huge BTO fan. It
Me
was
too.
I think they were touring on their greatest hits album actually. The
Oh,
best
okay.
of best of BTO.
Right
It
on.
was definitely a hits
I do not have
package,
that
and
notch.
they were they were amazing.
But funny how the age thing comes in because I mean, not funny, but it's like you guys are the same age.
Yeah.
I'm 4 or 5 years back.
It makes a big
They
difference.
were
yeah.
already done. Like it was now Burton
Head
Cummins.
on, they were
To be
pretty
hon-
much done.
You know what? They were pretty much they were on the tail end of their run. They were on their best of album
Right.
at the time, but I was just again, I had no one to tell me, "Oh, you should listen to something more current or listen to something better or
Right.
listen to something."
Right.
You know, I just
Yeah.
It sounds good.
But it seems like it was just all of a sudden there's just little pockets, you know, that
Yeah.
you either got into or there was the next thing and then you just missed that. And then you might go back to it eventually, but it's things were changing very rapidly on all genres at that point, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, throughout the history of rock music, you know, I mean, there's bands who had a great long-lived career, and then there's more bands who just had their
course.
little moment in the spotlight.
Right. And some
cooler,
of that is really amazing, and
Yeah.
especially if you're in on the beginning of it, you know, with the excitement and the that stuff, it's very powerful, man. Like it's.
I feel like that's going away, too.
I feel like that's my point
Right?
exactly. Is that we're at a stage in rock music where we're praying for the new the great thing that people are gonna buzz about, that are gonna talk about.
When's the last time you felt that way? I know for me when it was. Manson. And then recently Rival Sons a bit. But when Manson came out, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is a rock star. Woohoo. I fucking loved him.
Yeah.
Still do. And then lately, Rival Sons kind of has given me a little jolt. But nothing on that level. Like, I think Manson was the last rock star we have. I can't think of one after that's a
That's
fucking
an
bona fide rock
interesting
star.
discussion, only in the sense that it's like, there's now it's just so polarizing
Yeah.
almost in a lot of ways that you got to figure out what you can sell. And it's so hard.
It's just a weird world.
It's
right
a
now.
weird world, but
it is a world, but I will
that
say
was the start of it, I think. You know,
it's a weird world only because our whole the way things have always been has been turned upside down. And yes, we do have our giant artists, or Lady Gaga's or whoever's on hit radio, and the Jonas Brothers, and
Right.
and
You too.
somehow back
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the charts.
right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there's a lot of successful bands on a level where they just know how to reach their people.
Yes.
And it does not have to be 10 million people. It
Exactly.
can be, 10,000 people. But if those 10,000 people, maybe more than 10,000 worldwide,
It's niche.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know how to find the music that they're interested in, people are drawn to things for different reasons. You know, so there are a lot of people out there, frankly, just like the same music that their buddies like.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that's just as simple as that. And then there's a lot of people who actively seek out things, you know.
Yeah.
In the rock world, I think that needs to happen more, because that's the problem with rock now, is that you got to seek it out, because it's not part of the.
Well, and you can, at least you have the means to now. Like I
That's
say,
right.
when-
Exactly.
And that is one thing that I'll say.
So
is
there's
a
no
plus.
excuses.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
No
one thing that I
excuses.
will
Yeah.
say is a plus about the way things happen now is if you want to find,
Right.
I'm really into bands that sound like Rival Sons.
Yeah.
Well, you can go out and find them pretty easily.
Right on. Agreed.
And even if they only have a couple of indie things out, and you may find a band that
Yeah.
is unsigned and doesn't even have a full album out and plays to 50 people down at their local watering hole, but you hear their song and go, well, shit, I
Yeah.
like this.
You never would have heard that in a million years. Exactly.
If that was controlled by the man,
Yeah.
you never would have heard that. And that is one thing that I think is a positive about this whole thing, is it does put it in the hands of the artist and the hands of the fans. It's just that people need to be
Yes.
This
not-
is why I hate.
not too
But
lazy
the
to
man
go out and
sifted
find
out
it.
a lot of shit.
But
too.
this is why I hate the
The
fact that
man
we live in a
sifted.
time where this is all even way more accessible, and way more reasons to hear good rock music that seems to, if you talk to any label or any chart or any whatever, rock doesn't exist. But you have
It's
no
more underground.
excuses
It's
to
there,
find great rock music, because
Yeah.
there's still guys doing it.
Well, there's a lot of guys still do that.
Exactly.
And, you know, I mean, you know, if you inserted Led Zeppelin as a new band into this time.
Right.
We did with Greta Van
Yeah,
Fleet.
exactly. I was waiting
Thank
for
you
that.
very much.
Yeah.
I like him. I'll say it.
You know, really, I think they would be happy to just do what they do and go out and make a
Right.
living. And, you know, my house is paid for, and if I would certainly consider that a win.
Well, the making a living is the question too, though. I mean,
It is.
It's if you're starting out today.
Well, and the whole
holy
system
fuck.
is completely upside
It is.
down now from
Sure.
what it used to be.
Sure.
But I think, you know, everything always finds a way, and people aren't going to stop listening to music, you know, and actual types of music, it's cyclical. I mean, people have been,
Yeah.
You know what? A great song is a great song. I don't care if you're whatever genre.
That is absolutely true. But even if, you know, if we're specifically talking about rock music and guitar music,
Yeah.
people have been tolling the fucking death knell since, what, disco?
Forever.
Oh yeah, right on. Disco is our genre of going. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Reed, give me the Reader's Digest condensed version of going from Smash LA to Calliope to Zuckerbaby.
I was hearing new music, and
Right.
I was loving some of it. And Calliope, this band,
I love that disc, man.
came about
Yeah.
because it had really gotten into the Chili Peppers toward
Yeah.
the end of
Blood Sugar and
yeah,
Mother's
well,
Milk, I
toward
guess.
the end of Smash LA, even I bought a couple of records and I was like,
Right.
whoa, this is rad.
Right.
And their whole catalog, you know, I think Mother's Milk was probably my
Stone Cold Bush.
Well, yeah, it was probably
Yeah.
my introduction to the band, but eventually I went all the way back.
Of course.
And then when Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out, I was like, well,
It's just iconic.
come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was rediscovering the Beatles.
Right.
I was so into Jellyfish at the time.
Only did 2 albums, right? Is that
Two
right?
albums.
Yeah.
2 albums that changed my life.
Sure, yeah.
I saw a video for The King is Half Undressed on
Yeah.
Much Music in Ontario. Actually, we were playing out there. It's weird how these moments you can remember seeing
Vividly,
Like,
eh?
the
Right?
landmarks, yeah.
and
totally.
I went out and bought the album, and it changed my life. And so when Smash LA ended, I was like, okay, well, I want to do this funky thing, but I would love to do it and somehow bring this melodic element from
Right.
the Beatles, Jellyfish, bands like that, these true pop bands into it, because that's always been a part of me. we jumped right into the original scene in Calgary, which was not easy. People really looked down on you if you were from the cover scene.
Yeah, you need to be an indie artist and
Right from the
new
hop.
material.
Yeah, it wasn't cool. But eventually started to accept us, and we started to get some shows,
Yep.
and we knew people, so we were able to, weasel our way in. And it was good, and we started to feel like a part of that scene. But the whole Calliope thing just kind of, it was great. It was a great stepping stone to Zuckerbaby, but
Right.
it just started to fall apart. You know what? We're kind of letting go of this funky thing, and a lot of the new songs we were writing were just more straight ahead pop songs with rock
Like
guitars.
power pop, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's just let go of this. Hey, do you think we should just change the name?
Right.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
Let's do that.
So Andy and I, we each came to our first rehearsal with one song. Andy's was heavy.
So heavy sometimes you crush me like a cannonball. So heavy sometimes like it was nothing at
So by this time, I'm still heavily into Jellyfish and following this pop thing, Cheap Trick. I was back into Cheap Trick again after being, but that sort of power pop way of doing things. I was going back into the heritage of that when that music first arose in the 70s, all the way up to current bands, Matthew Sweet,
Right.
artists like that were current, but that were following a more of a pop route. And also at the same time, we had gone and we saw Radiohead on the Pablo Honey tour, and not knowing who they were.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
The band I don't get. You guys can bond.
And we, we're like, whoa, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Then when the bands came out, we were like, whoa, stop the presses.
Right.
This is everything.
Right.
And music after
Oh, yeah.
Radiohead was different than music before Radiohead.
I get it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that we'll say. We'll love them or hate them.
Yeah.
And I honestly, they lost me after OK Computer. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like even Kid A, I just didn't have the same
Right.
thing for me that OK Computer had. Add that to the pile. Now we've got so much weird, different shit, but that Andy and I are both just so into. The big albums for me were definitely the bands, Jellyfish, both albums,
Right.
Jeff Buckley.
Yep.
When we put it all together,
Yeah.
somehow we came out with Zuckerbaby.
And man, you guys made 2 albums. Like, that's awesome.
We made 2 albums. We knew we had something. From the very first show, it was apparent, oh, well, people like this a lot better than
Right.
Calliope.
Right.
Right. Well, this was a different level. Right.
Honestly,
I mean, you had videos and heavy rotation on
yeah,
much,
no, from a success point, yeah, for sure.
with some production value in them. Like, this was a big deal.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything. And
No.
I'm proud of what we
course.
we did. I mean, I sometimes I'm like, well, gee, why didn't I go any further? But it just wasn't meant to be. Your path is your path, whether it goes up or down.
Okay, this is what I'm really curious about. So that winds down. There's obviously a fork in the road here. Because what I wanted to ask you too, like,
Huge fork.
any thoughts of moving to LA or moving to Toronto? Like, this has got to be it's got to be a big fork. Tell me about that process and personally how that.
It was really tough
Unfolded.
because at the end of Zuckerbaby, I mean, yeah, as you said, we had some success. We did a lot of big tours. We had success at radio.
Yeah.
Not amazing, but decent success. Much Music was very kind to us.
Yep.
We did it all, all the things that you're supposed to do. And yet it did wind down after the second album. It was just clear it wasn't going anywhere. And we were having some internal strife too. And I had shit in my personal life I needed to sort out. And then musically, I was like, well, what do you do now? You go from being a recording artist and now you're sitting here, get your job back at the guitar store.
This is what I'm curious about, yeah.
And what do you do? Like, I didn't feel like I wanted to go out. For the first time ever, I didn't feel like, oh, I know who, I'm going to go tap that guy and that guy, and I'm going to start a band that sounds like this, and I'm going to, take the next step. For the first time ever, the wind was kind of out of my sails.
Right.
And here's what I realized after, and I think this is important, actually. Once I had gone through that whole machine of playing, fulfilling the dream of being signed. It was like back then.
Yeah.
Before anything else, before your dreams of stardom, before your dreams of anything, your first step in that was to get signed.
Yeah.
So I got signed. I negotiated a record deal. We had a major relief.
Yeah.
We had.
You ticked all the boxes.
We did a video that cost, 2 videos that cost, $60,000. We went to LA and mixed a record with Jack Puig. Here's my point that I was getting back to is after going through all that and achieving all those goals or almost achieving, I mean, there's always one more, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise you stop.
But after achieving as much as we did and coming back, and I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do because it's below me to go play in a bar band.
Of course.
I'm not doing that again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also didn't have the wherewithal to go start another original project and start from scratch again. I mean, that thought at that point was like, fuck, just shoot me.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you are wired to play music, it's the playing music that is the best part.
Hallelujah, kids.
Right.
That
Thank you, Reed.
Take notes.
that
this
is
is
the
it.
thing.
Right.
And to this day, that was a very important lesson for me to learn. Is you're not above doing anything. When you are wired to play music, it's the music playing that is the best part. And I think back to our success in Zuckerbaby, and we had some great moments, Much Music or opening for In Excess or, playing Edgefest.
Right.
Do you know
these
what I
are
mean?
cool things. Yeah.
They're cool things.
Yeah.
But none of it is cooler, really,
Right.
than when you fucking jamming with your 3 brothers and you finish the song and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was
Yeah, man.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's never better than that. Hate to break it to you. Like if you're holding out, and if you're not
I
getting
get
that
it.
feeling, then give up now.
Right.
Right.
Like to the heart of the matter, right? It was funny that fun came up, and we were talking about Mick earlier, dancing and
Did you see that footage?
and
Mick
doing
Jagger?
and playing guitar and doing something. I mean,
I just
and
fucking love it.
his face just said joy, excitement, all the best emotions, love, appreciation. All these things were just exuded from his face. Yeah, it comes purely from here. You know what I mean? You can kind of see it in some other genres of music, but rock in itself,
Well,
it's just
preaching to the choir there.
Yeah. Well, no, it's very true, and I mean it's what drives you, and for some people it's something different that drives them, and they should embrace those things the way we should embrace rock and roll music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a huge realization for me, and since then I have not looked back, and I haven't not appreciated what it's like to stand on stage with people who you consider to be your friends, your brothers, and play
fans of
music.
music.
In
Exactly.
in any scenario.
This leads perfectly into Todd Kerns and TKO. So tell me about your relationship with him and how that whole project came to be.
Well, Todd and I have known each other since the Smash LA days.
Of course.
When he was in Electric, as they were called before,
Yeah.
Age of Electric, and they were doing the same thing we were. They were a cover band
Yeah.
that had a lot more ambition than that, and they wanted to make their own music. And I remember the first time some fans of Smash LA came over and they said, yeah, there's this new band. They're just ripping you guys off. They're
Wow.
they're just trying to be Smash LA.
It's a rivalry. It started.
And we're not buying it.
The rock
and I'm
rivalry.
Like, and I'm like, really? You know what I mean? And I remember walking in there, like, ready to, all right. You know, we had huge chips on our shoulders back
Fuck,
in
his
the
hair's
day.
as long as mine.
And we walked in and
He's so tall.
I stood there for 3 minutes and I was
And
like,
he's taller.
these guys aren't ripping us off. They're
No.
10 times better than us. Like, you
It
know,
was just different. Yeah.
I mean, I was blown away, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, we just started hanging out. And we always talked about doing music together and we had done like live things where we played together and
Sure.
stuff. But the way TKO started, Todd was coming out to do a solo Canada Day show. And he was staying. He asked me, like, can I stay at your place? I'm like, of course you can. So I was like, hey, I got this little riff, and we start jamming on it. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we. Before we know it, we kind of got a song going here. I'm like, this is cool. It's kind of garage rock.
Right.
And we were both, you know, into that as well as everything else. I'm going to phone a studio and see if we can get in. He's like, what? But this is, as you're probably starting to figure out, this is the way I operate now. When I
Right.
get an idea, I just want to run with
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah.
So I phoned up Music Center Canada, and they just opened not that long ago. And I was like, hey, is there anybody in the studio today? And this is in their fledgling. I
Right.
mean, they weren't really.
No.
There was barely a studio at the time. Yeah.
Let's go.
The song that we recorded that day was called Globally Delayed, and we recorded the music with, I think Todd played bass on that first track, and I played guitar. Then Todd went in, and I think I did a couple of guitar overdubs. He wrote the lyrics. He went in, sang it, and when it was done, I was like, "This is the coolest song I've been a part of
We got something
in
here.
a long time."
This is it, disposable heroes. Use us up, throw us away. Build us up, tear us down. We are the ones you love to hate. Lock us in, then throw us out. We are the globally delayed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
And we loved also the way it came about, like just
Organic.
just like the old days in a room.
Right.
And we got to do this again. Let's do a whole album. Come up for 10 days. We'll record a song a day. Nothing pre-written allowed. Every morning we'll wake up, we go to the studio, we write a song and record it. At the end of the day, it's the song that it is.
Cool.
So I don't know if
So
you
no
knew that.
ideas.
I did not know it.
Ideas in a
No riffs.
voice memo on your iPhone.
No.
Nothing.
No.
I did not know that.
No, you couldn't bring in any existing riffs. He did have a lyric book that he would go to looking for ideas and stuff like that. But there was
Wow, that's
no
impressive.
preconceived songs. He had to come in there, and we tapped Ian Grant to be the drummer for it because Ian Grant had been the drummer at the end of Zuckerbaby, and I knew that he was the perfect guy for that sort of style.
Right.
And the three of us just clicked, and we would go in and we would just stand there and go, "You got anything?" And somebody play a little riff, and we'd run
That's
with it.
awesome, man.
And on half of the songs, Todd played guitar. On half the songs, I played guitar. And whoever wasn't playing guitar would play bass. And then I would usually do the guitar overdubs, but sometimes Todd would. To this day, when we did finally release the album, we had to have serious discussions about, okay, did you play that or did I
Right,
play
yeah.
that?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
The production is really good. Like, it
Well,
sounds good.
You know what? It didn't, but that was part of the charm of it.
What happened, Reed? How did you
well,
fix
because
it?
it was done in such a way that when I mixed it, I polished things up as much as I felt I could without losing the integrity
Right.
Yeah.
of what was there.
You did a good job, man.
Because I didn't want it to lose the feeling, because the feeling was more important than any sounds. You make that polish up and make it sound like a fucking Steely Dan record. It just
Oh yeah.
That's a different beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? So I love doing that project, not only because it was with Todd, who is one of my closest friends, but that whole idea of doing it. And frankly, I think there's some great songs there. I think others,
There's a
that
lot.
was an off day. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
or even some of them, yeah, if we'd had another day to think about it, I would have edited out that part or come up with a different melody there. Or
But you're going to do that all day long, right? You're never going to.
but to just do it on that day and commit to it,
Yeah.
I think is a great rock and roll way to do things.
Fuck, I didn't know that. Now that I know that, it's even more impressive. Like, it's
Yeah,
a
go
good
listen
album.
to it again now,
Yeah.
knowing that.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
That because it.
Yeah, you don't want to put that on the sleeve. We did this all in a week because we wanted to keep it fresh. So, you know.
well,
it's
In
like-
a way, we kind of, I mean, that was sort of the point of it, to show that rock and roll music does not, and most times should not be too contrived.
Hey, the first Van Halen album, what, 2 weeks? Something like that.
Exactly. I mean,
They probably worked on the material a little bit before.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had all their songs written.
they did.
That's exactly right. Like they didn't just walk in and go, "Hey, talk about love."
And a one and a two. Yeah, slight difference, I guess. Yeah. Okay, man, we've been talking for about 2.5 fucking hours now.
I know. Fuck,
And
I'm
we've
dying here.
We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
So you got to come back, brother, man.
Yeah.
It's just you're just a wealth.
You know what? I would love to. I'd love to. There's
Awesome.
nothing I like talking more about than rock and roll and me.
Nice.
And I would encourage people to check out his YouTube channel, man. The playing
thanks.
on some of those clips or all of those clips is fantastic.
You know, it's funny how, you just start doing something as a lark, and, I don't have a ton of followers on there or anything, but it's funny. I went to the NAMM show in January of this year,
Right.
and I walk up to an independent guitar maker that I am a huge fan of. I walk up and he goes, "Dude, I love your videos."
Right.
Yeah,
It was
great.
so-
It's such an international thing,
It's
right?
such an
global.
It's
Yeah.
an intriguing thing
That's
to me.
cool.
Yeah. And I mean, the videos are kind of a throwback for me because I don't play a lot of that style of guitar. Well, I guess I do in Wasted Nation,
Right.
but I haven't played guitar like that in original
I like it.
Music.
That's for sure. Yeah.
for a long time. But it's always going to be a part of who I am, and
Yeah,
as the recurring theme is, I guess, be true to yourself.
Right. Of course.
Well, we want to
Yeah.
delve into a bit more of that, I think. And I also want to talk about this guitar and other things. So we're going to have to get you back.
This is a signature series.
This is
RS.
a signature RS.
Yeah.
Is this a kill switch?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
I love the single pickup,
Yeah.
by the way. It's,
Yeah. So we're going to have you back. It was really great talking with you, man.
Thanks
really-
for having me. It was a lot of fun.
It's just cool to get it back to the basics here about, just how great rock music is and how you can live your life in love with it and continue to be in love with it and continue to make choices every day
Yeah.
about how it makes you feel. It's fun.
That
man.
I certainly have
Cheers.
done.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
We're out.
That's it. Next time.